In the Pits is partnered with QBR. Are you seeking to heal and recover from the toll that paintball puts on the mind and body? QBR has the solution for you. Head to QBRofficial.com and use code PITS10 for 10% off of your order plus free shipping. QBR, they don't sell broccoli. In the Pits is partnered with Mariachi Águilas de Oro. Based in Austin and servicing the surrounding areas, these golden eagles will bring life to any event you are having, from birthdays, anniversaries, holidays, corporate events, or even a simple performance to enjoy. Guillermo Padilla, one of their trumpet players, is also a member of the Texas paintball scene. Visit them on Facebook and Instagram to check out some of their past performances, or give them a call to book them for your event today. In the Pits is partnered with 71 Designs. Owned and operated by veteran Wade Martin, and partnered with fellow Texas brand Compete. 71 Designs can take your ideas for soft goods, merchandise, and casual wear and make them a reality. Message 71 Designs on Facebook or Instagram to get started today. In the Pits is partnered with Hydra. Designed by players for players, you can outfit yourself in Hydra gear from head to toe. Have confidence that when you make a purchase from Hydra, you are purchasing a well-tested and well-thought-out product, trusted by several top teams, including first-place semi-pro team, PaintballFit.com. I personally recommend their Hydra Black knee pads. Purchases over $100 receive free shipping. Head to hydra.fit to browse their selection and discover the Hydra mentality. In the Pits is partnered with XTPL Events. The Extreme Tournament Paintball League is a series put on by the Lukow family of Paintball Fit fame that gives the opportunity for players to learn and grow together as a team. 3-man, Challengers and Champions X-Ball, Draft Mech X-Ball, and even Youth 3v3. There's something for everyone at XTPL. Not to mention prize tosses, raffles, and the infamous paintball munching contest. Events happen throughout the year, and the prizes never disappoint. Sign up for an XTPL event today on PB Leagues. In the Pits is partnered with TexanHemp.com, locally shipped cannabis seeds. In a world where saving time means making money, TexanHemp.com, a local cannabis seed bank owned and operated by local Texas pro player Jared Sherman, is making waves by becoming the go-to source for all cannabis genetics in Texas. Carrying a large assortment of cannabis cultivars, including Texas-approved varieties for use in the Texas Hemp Program, high THCA seeds for novelty use, as well as premium genetics bred for solventless extraction, TexanHemp.com has the ability to satisfy even the most sophisticated collectors. Head to TexanHemp.com and use code INTHEPITS for 10% off of your orders. In the Pits is partnered with BEM Wraps. Behind every mask is a unique and creative player. Tap into it when you order your next custom headpiece. Their Build-A-Band lets you communicate with them one-on-one to make your order just the way you want, all the way down to the color of the stitch. Check out their Instagram at BEMWraps for drops and build videos of them working on orders. They offer very competitive pricing, so reach out today to get started on your own one-of-a-kind headpiece. In the Pits is partnered with Compete. Compete is a Texas-based brand by Jell Stewart of professional team AC Diesel that provides custom jerseys, pants, headbands, straps, tech shirts, and any other soft goods to help individuals and teams compete at the highest level. Support Texas Paintball and message Compete on Facebook or Instagram and mention In the Pits Podcast for 10% off your entire order. In the Pits is partnered with the San Antonio 3v3 Paintball Series. The series provides local players with an affordable, fun opportunity to experience the excitement of tournament paintball. Visit SAT3PB.com for details on upcoming events. In the Pits is partnered with Get Dat Shot. Get Dat Shot is now scheduling photo and reels coverage for teams competing in the upcoming NXL Windy City Major. Head to GetDat_shot on Instagram to check out his previous work or to shoot him a message to secure your media coverage today. In the Pits is partnered with Paintball Kumite. Paintball Kumite is a program designed by Colt Roberts of professional team San Antonio X Factor to take paintball players of all ages, experience levels, and skill groups and mold them into champions. The program breaks the game down into small, easy-to-learn sessions designed to help you master the fundamentals so that you can elevate your game. Newcomers to the program get a free 1-hour introductory class when mentioning In the Pits. To sign up for a class, message at Paintball Kumite on Instagram. Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 119 of In the Pits Paintball Podcast. This podcast is focused on everything that has to do with the paintball scene here in Texas, from professional players and teams to new divisional programs, local tournament series, field owners, Texas-based brands, even photographers and videographers. Every week, we'll have a short and sweet episode with a new topic and new special guest. I'm Christian Dallas Smith. I'm a player for the Texas Titans, and this episode we are going in the pits with Brian Padilla, the captain of the Gunnerz. Brian, how are you doing this evening?
All right, Christian. Thank you.
Good to hear. I mean, you guys are getting ready for the championships here, not this weekend, but next weekend for the USXBL, and you are currently in the lead in the series for Division 5, and you're also, I believe you're also tied for first place in the NXL for Division 5 as well, since you won, was it in Dallas or in Vegas that you won?
Yeah, we got first place in Dallas and then second in both Chicago and in Vegas.
Gotcha. All right. So, yeah, it's cool that you guys, even though in Division 5 you only had to play, you only have to play one event outside of Cup, it's cool that you guys are still doing most of the series and, still continuing to do that, even though, technically you can't improve upon your series standings.
Yeah, I mean, a big reason for it was that we really wanted to get more experience. A lot of the guys that we have on here, which I'm sure we'll touch base on later, they're all new. Like Garrett, this is Garrett's first year actually playing paintball. This is Tim and Corey's first year, actually going through the motions, competitively.
Mm-hmm.
So we have a lot of new guys that want to play paintball, and I mean, what better way than just to play more events?
For sure, and I think the way that y'all are doing it is definitely the way you should. Since that D5 year goes quick, and once you hit D4, it's really, really tough to go back down, points-wise anyway. So taking advantage of that D5 point status and playing as many events as you can in that division, I think really, really sets you up for success going forward.
Absolutely, and especially playing all the USXBLs plus all the NXLs. That's this year alone we'll be playing about 7 to 8 events if we include the one XTPL we played at the beginning of the year. So 8 events in 1 year is pretty good for a bunch of new guys.
Yeah, absolutely. For sure. So let's go ahead and get started. This first question is brought to us by XTPL events, speaking of. So for those listening that maybe don't know about you, how long have you been involved in the Texas paintball scene?
At least in Central Texas for a while, but overall I've been playing paintball for almost 10 years now. I started back in 2014 at a birthday party, like most people start. I got into it in 2000, really into it in 2016, but competitively speaking, when I moved up here for college, I started at X Factor in 2020, so about 4 years now.
Gotcha. All right. So what are the teams that you've played for over the years?
I've only played for really 2 teams. I started technically 3. I started off with Texas State with the Bobcats for 2 NCPA events, and then after that, Caesar from Innocent Bystanders picked me up, and I was with him for about 2 or 3 years, and then John and I decided, we wanted to progress in paintball, so we created the Gunnerz.
Yeah, I think that it's a shame that you didn't get to enjoy more of the NCPA for what it was. I know, right before COVID, things were kind of dying down a little bit anyways. Less and less schools were fielding teams. I know they were having difficulty scheduling events and having it line up with exam schedules and all that. But with COVID just absolutely killing the league, it's tough, and I think it's something that does need to come back.
I agree. The NCPA, back when I was first getting into it, a lot of the videos I watched was NCPA. It was Texas A&M, Texas State, UT. It was all the big name schools playing paintball for their school. And that's what kind of got me into it, just because I figured, you know what? Well, I'm going to college. I know I'm going to college. I know I can't play other sports, but I can play this.
Yeah, and y'all's coach, Jesse Stevens, also played in the NCPA for UTSA. So it's something that a lot of really good players out there have roots in.
I didn't know that. I'm going to have to talk to him about that one. He hasn't told me that one yet.
Oh, yeah, especially in Texas. I mean, you've got for the Longhorns, Nathan Roberts played for them. obviously Texas A&M was a lot of VCK guys. So Devin Stewart, Nico Hyde, Ryan Hall. I think there was, I want to say North Texas had Ryan Hall's brother on that team. So yeah, a lot of really good like pro players, and that's just in Texas. That's not including elsewhere. I think most of Columbus level came up together through NCPA as well. So it's a really good program out there that I wish would come back.
Absolutely, and I think they're trying to make. I've heard that they're trying to make comebacks, and I think it was. I don't remember what company it was. I think it was CMPT or it was another company offering free jerseys for schools that are participating in NCPA. So I'm hoping that makes a comeback, and especially because they're going to allow alumni of these schools. At least the proposal was to allow alumni of those schools to play.
For sure, yeah, and I think that was Maxed that was offering that. Charles Dean.
Yes. Shout out Charles Dean.
Yeah, shout out Charles for kind of trying to help get that grassroots thing going again. I appreciate that, and I would love, as an alumni myself, I would absolutely love to get to play it again. And I know that they did an event earlier this year, which welcomed alumni up at Paintball Fit, and the Longhorns just couldn't get a line together, unfortunately. But and believe me, if we could get a line, we would be very competitive. I know, like myself, Jason Sim, Evan Stein, just to name a few.
Absolutely.
It would be a nice line.
Yeah, wish I could get my Texas State boys back together, but they're gone in the wind.
I mean, you've got a few guys that are actually on the Titans. I know Michael Lundgren was a part of the Bobcats back in like 2012, so you can get him.
I know that. We got Justin somewhere out there playing at Outlaw now, but we got him somewhere. Got a couple guys still, but
yeah, it would be fun. So this one's brought to us by QBR Official, and go to the website, QR codes here on the screen. Use code PITS10 for 10% off and free shipping. So what was it that got you into paintball to begin with? I know you said like it was kind of like a birthday party, but was that where the bug bit, or how did that develop?
It was the weekend after, right? So it was my best friend's birthday party. He invited all of us out to go. We went, and I was like, oh, this is sick. This is really cool. And I asked my dad, hey, can I go again, like me and my friends? And we went again the next weekend. And then we went again. And then it was just me going by myself every weekend for months on end. And I eventually, bought my own. My very first marker was a Cronus, the big can Cronus, the one that looks like a real gun. And after that, I bought an axe, and from there it was just set sail. I played every weekend for 3 years in high school.
Sweet. Yeah, I mean, the bug bite's hard. And it's cool that, like, I mean, you're highlighting like, hey, you can buy these like starter markers and they will serve you very, very well. Like, you don't have to immediately get in and like spend $900 on a 180R, or like maybe you're buying a TM40 or something. Like, you don't need these high end markers to compete. You can buy old stuff, you can buy beginner stuff, and I think the equipment that's come out in the last, let's say, 10 years, like you can buy a dyed DSR right now for like, I want to say like under $400. And
yeah, it's ridiculous.
Yeah. Equipment has gotten so cheap now. And it's after like 2015, there's really not that much improvement. Like compared to the leaps and bounds that earlier stuff was making year after year.
Right. I completely agree. I mean, like I said, when I started, my very first electro marker was an Axe 2.0. I mean, I used that for at least 2 years before I bought my very first high-end gun, which was a MacDev Prime. And great shooter, just so many problems at the time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I had a Prime for a little bit, actually, during COVID. I don't know. I was a fan, but then I was still like kind of trying things out, and I really liked the DSR, so I went with that for a while. So yeah. This next one's brought to us by Pod Runners Union and SAT 3v3, which, by the way, the registration is now open for that 3-man, the turkey shoot, which will be the Sunday before Thanksgiving. I will be the head ref at that event. They are offering, I believe, beginner and novice, or beginner and amateur. Let me check the divisions. Open, novice, and beginner are the three divisions that are being offered. So, going to be a fun 3v3 event. Go check it out. Go sign up. So what are some things, P-Man, that you've noticed have changed within the Texas scene, either for better or for worse, since you've gotten in?
Honestly, I'm gonna say it's the competitiveness, specifically at X Factor. One thing that I noticed when I first started playing up here was there wasn't a lot of teams out here anymore after Grit had originally dismantled, and a lot of other teams started leaving to go to Outlaw, and it was just you guys, the Goons, and then IB. One thing over the recent years that I've noticed is a lot of competition has come back to X Factor, and it's really good to see that teams like you guys, us, and Dragoons are performing well at events. And it's just also the hospitality of all of it too. Like I said, it's gone a lot better since I first started playing, and people are more willing to accept newcomers now than I think they were 4 or 5 years ago when I first started.
I'd agree with that for sure. I mean, X Factor just recently built a third field, which I would argue that we've needed for at least a season.
Agreed.
Um,
Absolutely.
and just the amount of teams, but the amount of really good teams that play out of X Factor right now. Like you've got obviously the Titans, Grit, Jackpot, the Gunners. Who else is there? I know Ruthless is there from time to time.
Goons.
The Dragoons. I think there's like one or two more that I'm forgetting. Oh, Helotus Fusion has been doing
Fusion's been out of their mind lately. Absolutely, they've been one of our closest competitors as far as USXBL. Every time we play them, it's always a good game.
Mm-hmm.
I think every event that we've played in, and we got matched up in the Ochos, we have gone to overtime both times that we played in the Ochos.
Yeah, they're a really good squad. I had some of their guys on a few weeks ago, and it's cool to see what they're doing. But yeah, obviously a big part of that is the amount of work that you guys are doing week in and week out. And obviously I think we're set to scrimmage tomorrow against each other.
Yep. 9 a.m.
And it should be a good time. So, but before we talk about that, I do want to cover a little bit more about your background, especially with the NCPA. So you first joined the tournament scene through the NCPA, which was college paintball. So what was that experience like with Texas State?
It's gonna, I'm gonna start by saying I loved it because it was my very first like organized college sport experience, right? Whenever I first came for my what we called Bobcat Week, which is the week where you go and explore, and there's a bunch of fraternities and groups out. I had noticed a paintball thing, and I was like, "That's weird." I would have never expected to see that. So I went up, I signed up, and it was great to have organized practices again. Because in high school I played basketball, and then I grew out of that. So it was great to have that organized sport feeling again. But the problem that we ran into a lot was just people wanting to show up like everyone does in paintball. It's always hard to get everyone there at the same time. And but once we did show up, it was like having a team again, right? Like playing paintball together and making new friends. And that's how I met a lot of people. That's how I met Caesar. That's how I met you. That's how I met Justin. A lot of people that I still talk to today in paintball.
It's a good time. I mean, like I was saying before, I wish it came back. But
Absolutely.
I think a lot of people that have gone through NCPA, like I think of the guys that are on the Titans D3 line, I think 5 of us at least have gone through NCPA, because I know like Patrick Rayborn, Michael Lundgren, Riley Price all went to Texas Tech. Ryan Connors was TCU. I was a Longhorn. Yeah, lot of guys, and that's just on one team, right? It's so cool that so many of us have continued to play this game that have gone through NCPA.
And I think the NCPA was great to get people started too, like in the tournament scene. Even if you weren't like a good player, if you were just brand new, it opened up doors because you got to meet so many new people. Even if it was meeting people on a different team, you got to meet those people, and they introduced themselves and brought you on, and taught you the ropes. And I think that that was the benefit of having the NCPA there, is that it was a good entryway for a lot of people who are in college and don't know who to talk to.
Absolutely. I don't know if you ever got to go to a national event with NCPA, but they would hold it in the same like public park that they do the MVPS series in, where it was like just a big soccer field that they set up 2 paintball fields in, and they had webcasts and everything. Like they had, I think Maddie Marshall was there casting for a few of those, so it was a great entryway because there were a lot of companies that were willing to like throw things our way or give discounts or things like that because we were a college team. And like I met Axel Godin through NCPA because his company at the time, Drom, did our jerseys. And so now, like, obviously he's on X Factor. I have had this relationship with him for a while, so it's cool that that those connections were available to us at that time.
Absolutely, and I wish I could have experienced the national events. I only got to play the ones they held at Outlaw before the COVID lockdown began. So only the local stuff, unfortunately.
Right. So this next question is brought to us by Bemraps. So also, like a lot of people in Texas, you first came in under Cesar Torres' wing through the Innocent Bystanders program. So how was it being welcomed in through him, not just with IB, but also like through his involvement with Texas State?
Honestly, it was great because Caesar knows so many people, right? I mean, like he has reach, he knows a lot of people, and it was great that he introduced me to a lot of those people, like JD, like Alex Martinez, like Jeff. Like a lot of these people who have helped me throughout the years get better at the game. And Caesar ran a really good program for people who were new. And at the time, like I said, I was new. I didn't know what I was doing, and he had a lot of guys around him, like Brian Silva, who would help us newer guys learn the game. And I think without Caesar, I definitely don't think I'd still be playing paintball if he didn't bring me along after Texas State's team disbanded.
Yeah, he's done a lot for the game as far as bringing new players in. And for anybody who isn't familiar with who Caesar is, he was one of my early guests on the show. Go back and listen to episode 12. He's a player that plays, he has one arm and he plays paintball. So I think just that story alone is compelling enough to go listen to.
Absolutely.
So yeah, here in the chat, Doc is saying, I'll say it and continue to say, Texas paintball is next level. I would agree with you. I mean, there's a lot of really good players and talent that have come through or come out of Texas, especially in the last 10 years for sure. So this next question is brought to us by Mariachi Aguilas de Oro. So last year, the Gunnerz team broke off from the IB program to start their own thing. So what was it that motivated that change?
A lot of us, we were getting better at the game, right? A lot of us wanted to be a little more competitive than what we were doing. And I think in order to do that, we had to thin down. And it was, there's no ill will towards Caesar and his bystanders. We still were on good terms. Love that guy. But a lot of us wanted a little more out of our time, and we wanted to put more efforts. So me and John decided it was best that, for the people who wanted to be a little more competitive, that we step away and kind of go our own route. And that's what we did. And our D4 season wasn't the best, but we took that. I took that and I learned from it. And we're here now because of the lessons that I was able to learn last season, implement with the guys this season.
Right. And I think that the year that before you left or before you split from IB, I want to say IB had something crazy like 5 lines. And
we had an absurd amount. We had like 3 D5 lines. We had 2 D4 lines. We had a lot of people that wanted to play and just not enough, teams to go around. So we had to split, into various different teams, which, gave a lot of people playing time. But, for the people who wanted to play a lot, it was very difficult.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I will say it is difficult enough managing one line.
Absolutely.
Let alone and a program of 40 plus people is insane. To do that as a player, I wouldn't be able to do that as a player. You at that point, you would need someone who's just full time managing the team to pull something
Yeah,
like that off.
and luckily, whenever I was part of that team and Caesar would try to, he asked me for help running the team and I would do my best and he taught me a lot. And that's kind of what helped me go into the D4 season. Me not ever playing D4 paintball. And a lot of the guys that I was playing with on Gunnerz last year played D4 paintball. I essentially took a step back and just took the coaching role for a lot of the events because of my inexperience. And I was okay with that. But like I said, I learned a lot and that's where we're at today.
Yeah. The other thing is being a part of a program that large, like you are surrounded by a lot of different individuals, which especially when you're first starting out, getting to meet others and figuring out exactly like what kind of commitment do you want to the game and what are your goals. Being a big, like part of a big program, you can find other people who match up with your commitment level and your goals much faster than like, hey, I'm going to go join one team. And then if things don't work out, then maybe you are still looking for a team. Maybe that ends up being that you sit out for a while until you find that group. So it is cool that, like, granted, even after all of the splits that happened, that through that program and through the size of that program, you all were able to find those like-minded individuals quickly.
And I think that's super important. Paintball is if you're not all on the same page, it's not going to work out. And we've seen teams come and go because of that issue, especially in the pro division.
And I would argue that it's especially in D5 and D4 that's part of the process is finding that, like, establishing your core is key, because before you do that and you're just like guessing on all these other teams trying to find it, like, it's really difficult to actually improve your game in like the mental aspect of it. Like, sure, you'll be working on your physical mechanics, but getting better as it in the mental, the teamwork side of things, it really takes a core that's been together for a long time.
Yeah, and I mean, we've only been together for almost a full year now coming about, but I just the amount of time that we spend with each other on weekdays, on weekends, and the stuff we do outside of paintball at events, it all helps in building that relationship and in building that that brotherhood that every paintball team wants. That's what you need to win.
And I would say that you've probably noticed the results of that this year. I know
Absolutely.
I know you obviously started out hot in Vegas with the second place finish, but you've continued to get better and better. Like, I think your first USXBL, you had a quarterfinals exit, but since then, I don't think you've gotten less than third at a USXBL, if I'm correct.
Yeah, since then, every event that we've played since then, we have sat on the podium.
So, I mean, you're seeing the fruits of that labor and doing things the right way versus just, hey, we're gonna skip up a division. We're gonna, like, hey, if we've played an event or two, we can go play D4. Like that, you guys are not taking that approach at all. So this one's brought to us by. Here, go ahead.
No, you're good.
Okay, so this one's brought to us by Colt Roberts, Paintball Kumite. So, a lot of teams will try to play up before they're ready, but you guys kind of done the opposite approach where you played D4 last season, or at least some of your players did, and this year you went back down to D5, and I'd say that's worked out really well for y'all looking at your results. So what was that, like, the reasoning behind the move back down to D5?
Yeah, so I mean, it had a lot to do with experience and also time management. A lot of the guys that we used to play with at D4, life happens, right? Some of our guys had kids, some of our guys are just starting their lives, so their priorities weren't lined up with some of the other guys. So obviously it's not it didn't pan out the way that we hoped it would for this season. So I sat down with me and Nico and I told him, like, hey, like, look, if we want to win, I think we need to take a step back and get that experience, because D4, in all honesty, was a rude awakening for us. I think it was definitely a rude awakening, and we didn't realize, how many truly D4 teams they are and how many good D4 teams they are. And I think we had to take a step back and just, take a self-inventory, like, what are our capabilities? I definitely needed to do it. Nico definitely needed to do it. All of our new guys definitely need to do it. And like I said earlier, having a bunch of people who haven't played for very long, like Garrett's only been playing for not even a full year yet. Same thing. Tim's only been playing. This is his second year. Same thing with Corey. We have a lot of guys who are brand new to the game, and I didn't want to throw them, to events and be like, hey, we're gonna go play D4, and they still haven't learned, basic paintball skills. I want them to enjoy paintball. I want them to come back to paintball. I don't want them to be straight away because I want them to play a higher division when they're not ready for it.
And I think part of it is that D5 not that long ago used to be like the intro to paintball division where they would only offer D5 race to 2. That would usually be the first division that you would play in. But now it's the intro to X-ball where D4 used to fill that role. And like now it's like if you're playing D5 X-ball, you have better had put some time behind the gun before entering your first D5 X-ball event, or you can expect to not win a single point. That's how competitive it is.
Absolutely. And, and we see that a lot, especially going out and playing NXL. We played teams like TPP and Austin Oni and GG Factory. TPP has a lot of good gunfighters. They have a lot of good gunfighters. They're from Puerto Rico. Shout out TPP. We always have a good time against them, against Oni. They have a lot of good gunfighters, and I think we're starting to see that a lot now in the Division 5 area, only because we have a lot of programs that are coming up that are building up these D5 guys with their higher divisional guys, and it's just starting to D5 is starting to become a little more experienced with some teams.
For sure, and I think the other thing is that last year, being the first year that Division 3 was truly offered in Texas, D4 was still very much bloated, I would say.
Yeah.
Where a lot of teams, like towards the top of D4, that maybe they've won like series championships in D4 in previous years, and they're still playing Division 4. Last year was kind of the final year before like some of those teams properly got pushed up to Division 3. So especially at the top, D4 was incredibly tough to go far and let alone win. So having those top teams like out of Division 4 now, I think makes it a lot more manageable for those teams like first getting into the division.
Yeah, and I'll also say that I think in looking back into like last year and all that, you had teams like FSU, Houston Zone, who are definitely Division 3 ready, playing high end D4. I think that's what makes Texas paintball so great is you have a lot of those players playing against maybe not the so experienced guys, but it's making them better every single time they play them because they're learning. And I think if you're not struggling, you're not learning, you're not winning.
100%. And I like the approach that you guys are taking at practice where you're playing against the upper teams like Grit, like Jackpot, like the Titans. I think y'all would agree with the saying, like, I'd rather have a really tough practice and get beat there versus getting beat at the event.
Absolutely. I mean, the weekend literally before NXL, we were playing the Goons. Yeah, we're playing the Goons and the Titans at the 6-way split deck. And I mean, one of those the games against the Goons was just frustrating. I mean, it was just frustrating to get stomped like that every single point. I think that helped us because we got to learn the field and learn where we're getting beat from. And I think that's what took us to the finals is just learning all the shots, learning where we can die from, and just learning from our mistakes at practice. And every practice, I make it a point. And so try to make it a point to the guys like, look, we're not here to be weekend warriors. If we lose all day at practice, that's fine as long as you're learning from it.
Yeah, and for people that have been in the game a long time, I would say that you almost want practice to go that way before the event. Otherwise, you're worried. Like if practice goes great and you're winning just about every point, you're like, oh, did we actually learn anything on this field, or are we about to go find things that teams are about to do to us that we didn't expect because our practice?
Yeah, and I mean we through finals until our very last game we were undefeated. We mercy rolled practically every team we played in prelims. So like we didn't know what anyone else is doing to stop us because no one was stopping us in prelims. And we got to that fourth game against GG Factory, and they just gave it to us. We had no idea. We were down 2-0. We came back 2-0. And there's one of those things where they were doing stuff that we didn't even see at practice. We didn't see in the 3 that we played. it was something that we had to adjust to on the fly, which we ended up pulling it out. But yeah, I hate putting us. I hate being in that situation where we're down 2 points in a win by or like a mercy three format.
Right. Yeah. Definitely. And that program is a very good program. I think they have a line in Division Two, and maybe Division Four as well. But
So.
TPP Crew, they're in third place in Division Two for this series. So like that, that
Yeah,
program as a whole is very solid.
yeah, and those guys work just as hard as we do. They're out there all the time, and we're really excited for Cup playing them in the Champions Cup. Them and Shut Up, We're Trying. We're very excited to see those guys again.
Yeah, and that's actually the team that knocked us out in the semifinals at Cup 2 years ago. And they're a very good team. They're a very proud team. If you've ever seen them at NXL, they travel very well. They've got a lot of people supporting them in the pits, and they've got a lot of energy during the games.
Absolutely.
So, for anybody that's out there, and this one's brought to us by Jared Sherman, player for Austin Notorious and owner of TexanHemp.com. So, do you have any advice for any teams that are like maybe making the decision for next season or maybe for the championships to either play up a division or maybe go back down?
I think it depends on the situation. I think if you can be genuine with yourself or with the team and look at the skill level, look at where you've been placing all season, and look at how much practice you're putting in. If you're not putting in the amount of practice that you want to be, I think you should either stay in the division you're at or go down one if you can. I don't necessarily believe in going up a division if you can't handle it, because I just think it's going to be a lot of breaking your spirits down, and I don't think a lot of people can handle that type of mentality. And that's not me being negative; it's just me being realistic. A lot of people don't have the David Goggins mentality or like the hard head keep going mentality. A lot of people want to quit after it gets hard, and um, I don't think that's good for paintball at all. So I think if you're struggling, if you see yourself struggling, if you see your team struggling, have that come to reality check and just look back at the season, look into the season, see where you're at personally and skill wise.
I would even adding on to that. I would say that playing down, even if it's just you by yourself going to guest on another team, let's say you're a Division 4 player and you're going to go find some event that your team's not playing in and you're going to go guest and be the D4 player on a D5 team. Being in those situations where suddenly you're the guy will do wonders for your game, I believe, personally.
Absolutely.
And
Honestly, yeah.
yeah, I mean, I know that you have kind of been like the D4, one of the D4 players on your D5 line this year. So, like, what has your experience been with that?
Um, you know, Nico is also he also plays NXL. We got the two D4s in the NXL line, and I could speak for myself. I'm not going to speak for Nico, but I think us being there, a lot of the guys, they 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 expect performance out of us because we've been playing longer than them, right? And one thing that goes through my head every time I'm on the field, I don't want to disappoint, right? Because I'm supposed to be the guy who knows what he's doing. I'm supposed to be the guy who's been playing this game long, and I'm supposed to be the ones leading them. And I think as the D4 player on a D5 line, that should be your role is to lead the team, right? Give them the experience, give them the best chance of winning and learning. And every event, I try to do a little better at doing my job.
As far as being that leader, I know a lot of like very seasoned players and coaches out there saying like one of the best ways to improve as a player is to like at times fill the role of teacher or mentor. So do you find that being that role for your less experienced teammates has helped your game?
I think it's helped my game a lot because it also opens up, maybe what I'm doing wrong as a coach or as a teacher, right? And I can give you an example. My boy Garrett, he's our snake player, he's our front snake guy. Like I said, really new to the game. He's still learning. Jesse's teaching him how to play the snake, and he's doing really, really well. And one thing that we're still working on with is helping him play on his feet. He can't snap on his feet. And he's come up to me and asked me that, hey, like uh, I need help. Like, do you know anyone that can help me? Can you help me? And it's just one of those things where I think as a coach, I have to also look at myself like, hey, am I teaching him the right thing? I'm always having to double check myself because I don't want to teach him wrong. And then it'd be my fault he implements that into his game. And now he's not doing as good as I know he can do because he's a killer.
Yeah, it does something where you know that, hey, whatever I say, they're gonna do it. So I better come correct. Otherwise, like
Right.
it's gonna create problems not only for him down the road, but for you and your team during matches.
Right. Right. Exactly. And that's one thing that, I always try to tell everyone, like, it's okay to mess up, just learn from it and ask for help. Don't be afraid to ask for help. Me and Nico aren't here just to be pretty faces.
Yeah, it's a great mentality to have. So this next question is brought to us by Thomas Fust, FA Athletics. So throughout your entire career, do you have a single favorite moment so far?
Winning my first place. Winning my first place with Nico specifically. We've been playing paintball together since IB, so about almost 4 years now. And winning first place in Texas was awesome. It was my very first place ever. I've never podiumed. I've never done anything before that. So this year, every event this year has been a phenomenal experience to spend with the guys, and winning first place in Texas in my home state was by far the best experience of my paintball career.
Especially with the conditions of that day, like that was
Oh,
a an experience for sure.
that pro field was torn up.
Yeah, it was rough, but yeah, there's just something about which obviously like in the moment you kind of tune that stuff out. You're like, you know what? It's just as bad for their team. We're all here together. It's just another challenge that like, hey, the better team is going to shine through this, and yeah, it was. I can agree with you. That's probably my new favorite moment for me as well. Is that event.
Event was something different because Vegas was cool. We got second, but the weather wasn't terrible. Texas, the weather was probably one of the worst I've ever played in, and winning an event where you don't want to be playing in that mud is beyond amazing.
Yeah, definitely. I just looked at our event schedule this year, like yours and mine. The Gunners and the Titans have actually had very similar placings this year. Like we both got second in Vegas. We both won the Lone Star event. We both got third at the X Factor USXBL. So very very similar path our teams have been on this year.
I mean, I think it has a lot to do with. I mean, we're scrimmaging y'all's D4 line pretty much all the time. It's before every event. I think we've scrimmaged the Titans D4 line at least once. So I think it's a lot to do with learning each other's games and implementing what we learned from y'all into our game.
And not just that, but just the level of competition and the level of talent at X Factor currently. I think
Yeah.
we're all benefiting each other.
Yeah, I mean, like, especially having a team like Jackpot now where, it used to just be y'all as a D3. Now we have you guys, Jackpot, Grit. I've seen FSU come down a couple times now. They're starting to come back out. So we have a lot of new talent or older talent that's good talent coming back to X Factor. Like I said, it's going to make everyone there better.
Yeah, and not to mention Texas Demolition's coming up a lot more now too.
Yes.
And
Demo too, absolutely.
yeah, X Factor is definitely an exciting place to be right now if you're a divisional player.
And that third field, it's helping a lot, and I can't wait till field one's done and three field are going to be in use, and it's going to be a great time for X Factor.
Oh yeah, World Cup practices are going to be popping off for sure.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So this next question is brought to us by 71 Design. So currently you guys are in the lead for the USXBL series. I think you're ahead by like 8 points, I want to say, or 8.5 points. And you're also tied for first in the NXL series for D5X. So tell me about the work that it's taken throughout the season to get you guys to this point.
Just a lot of it, I think 60% work, 40% mentality to be there. Right, that 60% work, a lot of our guys, we're going out Wednesdays, Thursdays, Sundays, sometimes Saturdays and Sundays. A lot of the guys are going out a lot, and off the field, a lot of the guys are going to the gym. They're getting more fit. They're getting ready, for next season as well as the remainder of the events of the season. But the other half of it is really just the mentality, like to want to keep going. Like there's been a lot of times where, it looks bleak for us, and we have a couple rough practices, and we just like, well, what's the point? A lot of the whole mentality of the group is, just one more practice, just keep going. What was the point of spending all the money that we've spent so far just to quit now, right? So it's just been a lot of persistence.
Yeah, I think that I actually kind of an anecdote on the amount of work that y'all have done in the last year. So this week was the week last year that a lot of the Project CS3s came out in that first batch, and several Titans were in that batch. And I looked at my shot counter yesterday. I was like, how many paintballs have I shot in the last year? I'm just over 200,000 shots, which is 100 cases of paint in the last year, which I'm sure like you guys are probably getting up there with your markers as well.
I think Corey's marker is at right around 230 or 240,000. I accidentally reset mine like an idiot, but I'm at about 120,000 right now.
Yeah, I mean, averaging about 2 cases a weekend for an entire
Pretty
year
much.
is
Yeah.
I mean, you're seeing the results, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's working out. It's worked out well for us, and not getting ahead of ourselves, but we hope to take that momentum and that hard work into next year into D4.
Yeah, for sure. And I like that mentality of like, hey, we're like, even though we're in the lead for the series right now, and we're gonna go for a championship, we're really getting ready for next year when we know that the game is gonna level up in a substantial way.
Right. Yeah, I mean, like it's so like Jesse, the way he says it is, it's a video game, and right now we're on level 1. We're just starting. Next year's level 2, and you just gotta keep going through the levels and learning the game, and eventually you'll be playing high division paintball.
Yep. And I think Division 4, for the jump from Division 5 to Division 4, at least here in Texas, is pretty significant. So
Yeah.
definitely smart to be going through that mentality of, hey, like, we're just getting ready for next year, so we need to up our grind.
Absolutely.
Yeah. You've got Corey and Gabe here in the chat giving some love.
What's up? Boys.
So yeah. This next question is brought to us by Hydra. So looking to the future, like obviously you're scrimmaging us this weekend for the USXBL championships, but what other plans do you have as far as getting ready for this series, for NXL World Cup? How are you guys going to be preparing?
Yeah, so I mean, like I said, we're going to spend a lot of time, on the field, off the field, on our own bodies, and it's really just going to be a lot of scrimmages, a lot of practicing better teams. I think we, at this point of our program, we should be practicing higher divisional D4 teams. I think that's the only way that we're going to get better. We play a lot of D5 teams at scrimmages right now, but I think we need to punch above our weight class for the next couple of weeks and figure things out for Cup, because that's what all the winning teams are doing. That's what TPP is doing. That's what Fusion's doing. That's what a lot of these higher teams that are in competition with us are doing. And I think we have to, surpass their level of practice. And every weekend after USXBL is going to be mandatory for everyone.
Yeah, I mean, Cup's coming up quick. I think it's Cup.
Absolutely.
Like
Cup's
like
from.
Yeah,
something. It's actually exactly a month away from USXBL.
Yeah. So 1 month from today 1 month from yesterday will be the Sunday of the layout weekend. So after this weekend, we've got 1, 2, 3 weeks, and then it's layout weekend. And one of those weeks is USXBL championships for you guys. So it's all going to be coming to a conclusion here pretty quick. Which, by the way, for you guys, I want to mention, going back to one of our sponsors, Colt Roberts, the next Paintball Community class, mark your calendars, is going to be October 20th. So
I'll let the guys know.
So yeah, that'll be that'll be the Sunday after USXBL.
Sweet. Okay.
So yeah, anybody listening, just mark that on your calendars. Next Paintball Community class is going to be Sunday, October 20th. We'll get the details out. It'll probably be like a 9 a.m. start, maybe earlier than that. We'll see on Cold's schedule. But yeah. So P-Man, do you have any, like, who are like some of those mentors that both you and the Gunnerz have had to help get you to this point?
We've had a couple, John, especially, him having all his experience from Jackpot, and he's bringing that over to us, as well as Jesse Stevens. He's been a huge part of our program, right? Like, he's running those Wednesday, Thursday practices that he started with just a couple of the Gunnerz guys, even before they were part of the Gunnerz. And then him coming along and coaching us for all our events this year, and um, as well as we had Zimmerman for a little bit helping us and giving us some of his knowledge in Texas, which helped us out a lot whenever Jesse was playing his game, because he got to play too. Um, so it's been a lot of these smart people helping us out, and I don't think we'd be where we're at without those three guys helping us all the time.
For sure. Those are some very qualified individuals that have the background to and the results and the medals hanging on their wall to prove it.
Absolutely, and that's we 100% trust Jesse with all of our practices, all of our events. It's super nice and super. We're fortunate to have him there, and we're glad he's with us and not with anyone else.
For sure. So, P-Man, this next question is the one I ask everybody that comes on the show, just to help get the word on anybody flying under the radar. So this one's brought to us by Get That Shot. If you're needing media coverage at the USXBL Championships, message GetThat_shot on Instagram or message Carlos on his Facebook page to get coverage. He also has his drone license. I think there's like an FAA thing that you need for that, but he has that now. So if you're wanting drone coverage, he can provide that too. So P-Man, is there anybody in Texas? It could be a team, player, brand, project, media member, a community member that you think deserves more recognition for what they are doing?
Honestly, but I'm gonna say for players, I have two, and unbiasedly, they're going to be on my team. But it's Kelson and Garrett. I think both of them have come such a long way from when I first met the both of them. Like I said, especially Garrett being in the game for 10 months now, and him learning as fast as he did, and playing the game as quick as he does. He's just been a phenomenal player, and his attitude towards everything is just so great. Like, he keeps a positive attitude in the pits, and I think that's what helps us, keep that good energy, in times of need. And Kelson's just a dog. He's just so good at paintball, and I didn't know who this kid was before XTPL, and whenever his dad approached me after XTPL had finished, he wanted to come on, and we brought him on, and he's just been a killer for us ever since.
Yep. Can confirm. He's definitely shot me in the side a few times.
Yeah.
So
you lose sight of him. You lose sight of him, he's gone.
Yeah, for sure. So looking in the chat here, we've got Tim McGregor and Raphael are both in here giving you love.
What's up, boys?
So yeah, we've got we're here coming to the end of our show. So for anybody else who has any questions for P-Man, go ahead, get them in the chat. We are on our last question here for the afternoon. So P-Man, this one is brought to us by Compete, which is Jell Stewart's brand up at Paintball Fit. So message him on Facebook or Instagram, mention In the Pits for 10% off of your order. So P-Man, do you have any last shout outs or things you'd like to say before we sign off?
Yeah, man, I just want to shout out all of our sponsors, man. Enemy of the State, Kinetic Paintball, Mason's Paintball. Get your goods at masonspaintball.com. We have a lot of good sponsors, even outside of paintball, like Butler Woods and Landkeeper. They've been really good to us, and can't thank them enough for all the support they've given us this season. But no, man, it's been great. Thank you for having me, and I hope to see y'all do good at Cup just like we will.
Yeah, here's hoping, man. I mean, we'll be definitely sharpening each other's swords this weekend. It should be a good scrimmage. I hope you guys get ready for the championships. Yeah, and one I'll also be give a preview here. So the first batch of project loaders shipped today. I actually dropped those off on the way here. So I'm gonna get mine. I get to use mine this weekend.
Sick, dude.
Oh yeah,
I think it's nice.
Yeah, I'm very excited to get to use it. So yeah, Tim, see y'all tomorrow. Yeah, man, we're looking forward to it. Should be a good time. Should be a good practice. And the weather is phenomenal. We've had to endure.
Thank God.
Yeah, we actually I will say the summer actually has been pretty mild compared to what we all thought it was going to be. The last couple of weeks have been pretty hot, but right now it's pretty nice.
Yeah. Sure.
All right. So I think, let's see, looking in the chat, no more questions. So that does it for our episode. P-Man, thank you so much for your time. Everybody online, thank you for tuning in. So be sure to go follow P-Man at B_Rab08 on Instagram. What other guests would you like to see on the show? Be sure to leave a comment down below. While you're at it, hit that subscribe button. The show goes live weekly here on youtube.com/@inthepitspaintballpodcast, and recordings are posted to YouTube, Amazon, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify the next day. I want to give a shout out to my partner and sponsor tier subscribers on Patreon: FU Athletics, Get That Shot, Paintball Kumite, Compete, BEMRAPS, Hydra, XTPL Events, Mariachi Aguilas de Oro, Podrunners Union, SAT 3v3, 71 Designs, TexanHemp.com, and QBRofficial.com. We will see you guys next week for episode 120. We will have Victor Gamboa on, who originally was supposed to be on last week, but had to reschedule. So we will get him on next week. He's an assistant coach for San Diego Dynasty. So yeah, it should be a great one. So we'll see you then. P-Man, thank you so much.
Thank you.